Most languages in the world have one written system, such as the Latin alphabet or Arabic script, one written language with one set of grammar and rules, and one spoken language, being the way people actually speak said language, though there are tons of languages that aren't as simple as this. A digraphia refers to the use of more than one writing system for the same written language. A good example of this is the Hindustani, which is an Indian language that can be written with both the Perso-Arabic script and the Devanagari script. But even weirder, the Norwegian language has one script but two different written languages for one and the same spoken language, which not only sounds really confusing, but is also the only language we found that does this. In 1380, the Danish king Olaf II inherited the Norwegian throne, uniting the countries for over 400 years, during which the Norwegian elite started writing Danish since all law, noble and church-related things were written in Danish. They still spoke Norwegian, they just stopped using the ancient runes and moved on to the Danish Latin written language. This is why in 1814, when Norway briefly regained independence, the people suddenly realized that the Danish written language and the Norwegian spoken language didn't really match. So creating a standalone Norwegian written language became a very popular idea. This is when two important people came into play, namely Knud Knudsen and Ivar Aasen, who created the written bokmål and written Norse languages respectively. Even though they worked on the same spoken language, their approaches varied so greatly to the point where they'd end up with seemingly two written languages that were not similar by any means whatsoever. Knudsen, being an upper-class man, thought that the easiest solution would be to take the already widely used Danish language and simply make it more Norwegian. This way, people would only have to relearn parts of the writing system and not have to learn a new language entirely. Aasen, on the other hand, being a countryside farmer, wanted to purify Norwegian from all its Danishness, decided to travel throughout the country and see how people speak, and then base the language off of that. When both finished their works, the Norwegian state couldn't really decide which one they liked more, so they simply made both official. Discussing whether Norwegian should have two written languages or try mixing the two together is controversial. What we can say for sure is that the users of Nynorsk have been steadily decreasing since its creation. In 1950, around 30% of Norwegians used Nynorsk as their main written language. This number is as low as 11% today. The numbers show that people aren't big fans of the split. But the problem is rather that no one knows what else to do about it. Mixing the two would be unfair for bokmål users, as they're the vast majority. Mixing the two would mean having to borrow around 50% from a dialect only spoken by 11% of people. On the other hand, simply making bokmål the sole official dialect would be unfair for the remaining 11% that would now have to learn a new written language entirely. This is exactly what the creation of bokmål was trying to avoid, forcing people to relearn. So this is how Norwegian ended up with two written languages and only one spoken one.